My name is Aaron Crear. I'm founder at Hattrick Consulting, and I work with companies around the world to help them achieve their Salesforce goals. Before we start, big thank you to the sponsors. I run one of these events, and I know how important they are. They literally do not happen without them, so make sure you go check out the booths, and when the salespeople call you next week, be nice to them. They're just doing their jobs. Okay. Little background about me. I'm a recovering sales manager. I'm proud to say I haven't made a cold call or begged somebody for a purchase order in about 7 years. I started using Salesforce in 2009 as an inside sales rep, creating opportunities, logging activities. Became a sales manager and director, seeing over the team in a pipeline, and began teaching myself how to do more with Salesforce just to make my job easier. Became kind of an accidental admin at a bunch of the places I worked, and then about 7 years ago, I was tired of having a quota hanging over my head, wanted to do something technical, and really loved working with Salesforce, and it just coincided with Trailhead coming around. So I made that career pivot fairly quickly because of that. And I speak at a lot of these events because I feel really lucky that I was able to make that transition. So I hope I can help some of you advance your careers as well. I am the organizer of Northeast Dreamin', which is an event like this in October that'll be in New Hampshire. I run the Lowell Admin User Group, and I'm also co-founder of ReportForce.blog. And I have some very large stickers if anybody would like one after. All right, so data drives decisions, right? You run your business on it. You decide whether you're gonna invest, retract, add headcount, reduce headcount, right? But that data must be reliable. Garbage in, garbage out. So we need to make sure that that stuff is in proper format, right? It should be very easily consumable, right? And anybody here a data scientist? I'm not, I'm the furthest thing from that, right? But when you're building analytics, and I'm using that word, but we're really talking about standard reports and dashboards, you want to make sure everything's easily consumable once that comes out. And it's got to tell a story. If you build a report or a dashboard and somebody can't figure out what that is, you didn't build a good report or a dashboard, okay? So we're going to kind of go through the whole full life cycle of analytics, reports, and dashboards as part of this. And then we'll have a live demo with a real world example here. So analytics architecture is defined as the process of collecting, storing, refining, analyzing, and presenting data. And the key components of the data model: how are we capturing that data? Where is it located? Is it all in the CRM, or is it in multiple systems? Is it sitting in spreadsheets? What data prep do we need to do? Is it clean enough we can just use it as is? Probably not. Do we have to build data sets, do some data cleansing, deduping, right? And then what's our presentation layer? How are we going to present this data, show it to the stakeholders where it can then be actionable? Okay, so where do we start? Start this at the beginning. I see way too many companies that leave it to either the end of the implementation, or even if you're just building new apps, they think, oh, we're done. All this stuff's just going to appear magically, right? A lot of stuff comes out of the box with reports and dashboards, but every company is unique. And a lot of times you have to build things to actually produce reporting results. So start it at the beginning. I always start by asking them, what are their goals? What do you expect to see out of this system once we're done? And work backwards from there, because that's going to identify whether the data model as is can produce that, or do we actually have to build some things to be able to combine different data points to put them in a much more consumable manner for the stakeholders. Again, not everything comes out of the box, and a lot of times we will build customizations just for this use case, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. We need to do it to be able to make those good decisions. Okay, you want to make it personal, so don't just stay with one tier of the company or one business unit. You want to cross units and roles, and you want to make sure you're telling them and working with them to create solutions for their unique needs, right? That's going to help, one, identify some roadblocks, and it's also going to drive adoption. If I can work with the service manager to show her what the trend is as far as case closure, time to closure, things like that, right? That's personal to her. She's going to help adopt it within her team because it's making her life easier. So the more you can make it personal with the different stakeholders, the much more likely you are to have better adoption and better buy-in from the groups. All right, so we're gonna have a real-world example here of a commission app, right? Surprisingly, for a company called Salesforce, they do nothing with commissions. So this is a common use case. All right, our current state. The organization pays out commissions internally to sales reps and sales managers, and they also pay out externally to distributors. Finance team calculates all of this stuff in spreadsheets and then manually creates statements to send those out every month. The sales team also has no visibility into their commissions without manually tracking it or until those spreadsheets arrive, right? So very manual process, very little visibility, takes up a lot of time, a lot of frustration here. So we're trying to solution for a couple of different stakeholder units, but at the end of the day, it's one solution that'll provide that for all of them. All right, some of the must-have requirements: automate the creation of commissions, ability to look at a deal with calculated aggregated commissions, and we want to be able to report on margin after the commissions, right? We can see what we're selling something for, but what are we really making on that after we pay out the commissions, right? We want to be able to understand what we're truly bringing in for revenue. All right, so proof of concept, we're going to architect a full solution here, and it's not just a report. All right, so what are our design options? It's our job as an architect, whether you're an architect, you're an admin, developer, it's our jobs to present all of the options and then decide what the best solution is, right? There's time, there's cost to everything. We want to understand what is the best route, because there may be more than one viable solution here. So let's say option one is we use Tableau or CRM Analytics. They have things in spreadsheets. We'd be able to connect to those, present it inside the CRM, right? Really great tool, robust, lots of use cases, but there's extra cost. Maybe we have nobody internally that knows how to use it and can support it. So let's say we're going to cross that one off for now. App Exchange solution, there's some right out the door right there that do commission-based models, right? Again, pre-built, but again, additional cost, not as much control because you can't really customize those packages. You're getting what they give you for the most part. So let's say we're going to cross that off. Our last option is, can we build it ourselves on the platform? We're going to go with that model for this example. Okay. So before we see our data model, we have goals of being able to aggregate commissions up to opportunities, right? You cannot have a commission without an opportunity, right? Makes sense. And we want to be able to have those calculations automatic on the records. So anybody have a thought of what our data model will be with our commission? We're going to use a master detail because we should not have a commission record without an opportunity. And we want to be able to utilize roll-ups from the commissions into the opportunity itself. So master detail between the commission object and the opportunity. And then we have lookups from the opportunity team member, which are our internal reps that we're paying out, the opportunity contact role, that are the external folks. So we're tying that simple model together, and then we're able to piece it all into one solution. And those commissions will be automated. So when either of those records are created, the team member or the contact role, that's going to generate a commission record being created. So let's take a peek inside. So we can see here I have our London's Calling opportunity here, and then I have a commissions tab I've embedded here. And we get a bunch of roll-ups here, and then we have a couple of related lists down here for our commission records. Opportunity, I'm going to add a couple of team members. So I'm going to add a sales manager, and I'm going to add a sales rep. And I'm going to hit save. You can see here it generated 2 commission records. Commission amount is empty because we have no products on here yet. So if you were creating this opportunity, say through lead conversion, it's automatically going to add that contact roles, which I'll show you in a second. It's going to generate that automatically on the creation. I'm going to add some products in here now. We'll just have quantity of 1 of each, and we're going to hit save. And now if we scroll down, we can see it updated our commission records. Same thing if I add a contact role for our external rep. Say Jim Smith here. We'll give him a role, channel partner reseller. and we have our commission records generated automatically. So we can see here we have a commission rate, and then we have our actual commission amount. So where are we getting that from? I have a few options, right? That could be done in formulas. It could also be done within automation, the automation that's creating that. Like we're using flows, we could do it in a formula in a flow. But the way I've done it is through a custom metadata type. So we've created this commission rate custom metadata type, and then we've set up our different rates, and it's really just a combination of the opportunity type, new business, right? You're gonna pay out more generally on new business than you will on renewal commissions, and then the team member role. And we can see what our rates here. And the reason I like the custom metadata types is because it gives you historical reference of what your rates were, say, year over year. So we could deactivate all of these for 23 and create new ones for 24, and we're always gonna be able to go back and have a reference of what we used to pay each of these tiers. So I like using these better than doing, say, formulas or doing it within the flow itself. So we can always kind of backtrack and audit and understand of, hey, we're much more profitable when we were paying out this, or we had less sales because we were paying out too much, that sort of stuff. So it gives you a lot more flexibility with your analytics.
Excuse me, does that mean that on those records there's actually a date range?
I don't have it on this, but I would just hit uncheck the active box. The automations looks at that box specifically, so you could do dates too. If you were going to do this, like change it, say month over month, you could do a start and end date, something like that. Yeah, exactly. Same thing would work. And then to create these, we have a few flows. So we have one on each object, one for the opportunity contact role, one on the team member, and we're creating the commission record. Once this loads, I have this triggering basically just on two roles right now, sales rep and sales manager. And then we're getting the commission rate. So again, this is that active box I just mentioned, where we're looking at that. And then matching against the opportunity type, is it new business, renewal, or upsell? And then the team member role of sales manager, sales rep. And then we're getting our record type. We have an internal record type and an external. Really the only reason we're doing that is because we have a lookup to a contact for the external, a user for the internal. We don't want to look at both columns if we don't have to. One's always going to be empty. That's really the only reason I did split this into record types, but it also does make it easier in reporting if you want to bucket, group them. Then we're creating our record, their amount, our rate. So we're getting that from the custom metadata type. That's where we get the rate, and then we're just setting the commission amount in a formula within the flow. So we're referencing that rate, and then we're just multiplying it by the amounts field on the opportunity, okay? And now, where I ran into the first, we're gonna go through a bunch of hurdles that we have to get through architecting the solution, and this is one of the first ones. So we know that opportunities are gonna change, right? You're gonna add products, remove products, change quantities, that sort of thing. So let's just click into this. Let's add another. So let's take a peek here. We see our numbers, what our commissions are right here. So 9,250. We're going to want to add another product. Come on. Let's just say that. Quantity of 1. And then if we go back down, we can see our amount changed. It added 500 bucks. So when I first built this, I wanted the commission column here just to be a formula, because I didn't want to have something trigger. I wanted to just trigger this on the creation of the records and let the formula do the rest. And where I ran into a roadblock is in these roll-ups, or we're calculating our projected commission amount, you can't reference a formula in a roll-up. So that prohibited me from using that. So I had to go back, rebuild the field, and set that amount in the automation. Same thing for the status, right? We have projected here, but I want to make this automatically update. So if I win this, we want to see this as owed, which it does. I wanted that to also be a formula. Look at the stage. If it's open, have it projected. If it's closed won, have it turn to owed. But because we're using filters in these roll-ups based on the status, again, not an option. I couldn't use that formula in a roll-up as a filter. So we had both of those items I had to come back, rebuild, so there's a second flow that triggers every time the amount changes or the stage changes to recalculate that. All right. Now, the other hurdle, second hurdle with master detail is the commission records have no owner, right? Because they're basically a child record. So if I click into the commissions, there is no out-of-the-box My Commissions option as a list view or as a report filter. I've created a custom one here, and how I've done that is I have this field called running user, which I'll show you in a second, and it just equals true. And what this looks like is just a formula on the commission record. And it just says user ID equals sales team member. Basically, if the person looking at it equals that sales team member on the record, it's basically a match. That's my stuff. So it's a workaround for that because, again, there's no owner of that record, so the out-of-the-box My filters are not available in list views or in reports, but that's a good workaround. Okay. All right, let's go back to our op. All right, now, talking commission, we're talking people's pay here. What's one concern people are gonna have right off the bat with this? Absolutely, right? You don't want me seeing what you're making. I don't want you seeing what I'm making, right? And it's gonna be a big problem if she can see that I'm getting paid a higher commission rate than she is, right? So we wanna make sure this stuff is super secure. People are gonna be really paranoid about this stuff when you start mocking this up. Because we chose a master detail relationship, there is no option for sharing rules on the commission object. So I had this all built, demoing it for a customer, and then we realized this isn't gonna work because they're gonna be able to see everything, because when they get added as the opportunity team members, that gives them access to the opportunity, which automatically gives them access to the commission records, right? Dead right there. So I was racking my brain trying to figure out a way to do that, because if I can't solution for this, my option is I have to change the data model from a master detail to a lookup, and then I have to build flows to do all of those roll-up calculations, which is doable, but that's a ton of work. That's a lot of automation that we really don't want to throw in there if we don't have to. So I was pacing, I was swearing, I'm trying to figure out how can we do this, right? There's gotta be a way. And then I found the solution I had literally never heard of before, and it is called a, why am I not seeing it? Restriction rule. So restriction rules basically take away access to people. So what we've done here is on our internal reps, we've basically just said, if the sales team member equals current user, show it. So that same current user, like that running user custom field I built, same type of thing. Basically, if that's a match, show it to them. If not, don't. So it's basically almost mimicking a kind of a sharing rule here. So if we look at this record, we can see there's one for Cam, one for me, one for Jim. I'm the manager, so I want to see my team stuff no matter what, so we can handle that, obviously. But Cam shouldn't see my stuff, and he shouldn't see the external folks. Or if there was, say, 2 reps on here that was, handing off a deal and they're both going to get a piece of it, we don't want them really seeing each other's stuff. So I'm going to log in as Cam, so we can just see that this works.
That restriction criteria, does that permeate to reports as well?
Does that what?
Does that go through to reporting as well? So if you're trying to report something, it says...
Yeah, it does. Yep, it passes through the report. So we'll log into Cam, and then we'll find our London's calling op. And we'll hit our commissions tab, and we can see we only see one commission line item. So same op that I was just on, and I'm logged in as Cam. He's just seeing his own stuff. What else do we not see on this page? Externals, one other thing.
Roll-up summary,
Roll-ups, okay. Why do we take those away?
because it says how much commission is up to.
Exactly, right? They're going to be able to try, they might not be good at it, but they're going to try and do the math to figure out who's getting paid on this. Am I getting the short end of the stick, right? So we want to hide that from them. So we did that a couple of ways. Let's pop back. So we did that in our Lightning page here. So I'm going to edit the page. And we'll just take a peek at our component. So we have our component here, and then we've just added a visibility filter, and I've just done it by role. I only have 2 roles in here, so it's just a dev org. Basically, you'd adjust this and just say, if the role equals this or doesn't equal this, make that component disappear, okay? And then for the related lists, we've just done dynamic related lists, and we've filtered it by the record type. That's what splits them apart. And how I did this component up here with the roll-ups, I did it with an action, but this will soon, or could already be replaced with dynamic forms, but I did it this way. So total commissions, it's just an action, and then if we edit our layout, all of these are roll-ups, so they're all locked anyways, but if you ever did this with other fields that you want to just split into a tab and display, but you don't want to allow people to edit, all you need to do is hit this little wrench and just mark it as read-only, and then you'll be good to go. Now, also very important, does hiding that component accomplish what we want? For those fields not to be visible by itself.
No, because you won't actually reporting as much.
Yep, absolutely. So you have to do the field level security to take that away, because they'd be able to run a report or even create a list view and see those fields. So you have to make sure the field level security is part of that. All right, we'll go back. Now we also know that folks may get pulled off an opportunity, right? Things can change. So if we say get rid of this distributor, and we click our commissions, that didn't trigger. We're going to want to make sure that something gets updated here as well. Now, our consuming part of this is where we want to present the data. So we have it in here. It's automated. It's updating. There is no option for people to create these manually, right? I've done this all through permission sets, so your reps are probably going to get a read-only permission set on the object in the fields. Some people may need like view all, and then finance or whoever's going to actually process your commissions is going to need some edit access on the records themselves so that they can actually mark them as paid. So if I go to my internal one, we can set our, say, payment date and our status to paid or lost. Again, the automation handles everything except that step, because that's gonna have to be a manual process pretty much, unless you somehow connect it to a finance system or integrate that way. Now, I like to present this in a few different ways. I've got a tab here called cash. And I like embedding a dashboard in tabs like this if it's stuff that people are going to go to a lot, right? They don't have to go to the dashboards tab and then try and remember what folder something's in, right? Especially for executives. If I create an executive app, 90% of the time, every tab's going to just be a different dashboard, because that's really all they want to see. So they can get in there, they can click them really quickly and get through it, right? So we have our projected, our owed. We can see month over month. And we can actually see a table with all the deals that are part of this, so that I know exactly what's in here, right? And I would use this as a rep as my audit tool. When I get my paycheck, I want to make sure that every piece of commission that I'm owed is actually in there, and I can reference back to this. And then I like using filters so that I can slice and dice this. So maybe I just want to see what's owed all of these charts will update. Maybe I just care about, new business only, and they're all gonna update, right? So it's easy, it's good, clean maintenance, so you're not building multiple dashboards, say for different time periods or different opportunity types. They can kind of toggle back and forth in this any way they want. If you haven't used this method to show a dashboard, all we've done is created an app page. If we can open this. And you're gonna be able to see here, the entire page is just one component. If I click into this, it's just the dashboard. And if you haven't created an app page before, when you create a new Lightning page, you have options here, and we're just selecting app page. And then you're selecting what it is, what format you want. And it's really just a blank canvas. You can add anything you want into it. So you could drag a dashboard. You could drag, list views on top of it. And it's just a blank canvas. So they're really flexible. You can show a lot of different things on one page. We're gonna leave that. So we have our commissions dashboard. We also have a margin dashboard, because that was one of the other requirements. We want to be able to see what are we making after, right? So this is just looking at a field on the opportunity, calculating the margin. And then we have our internal on top of our external. We can see here, our renewal 98% on the external, 98, they're pretty close, 92, 87, which makes sense. On the external, you're paying two sets of salespeople, internal and external, so they're gonna be a little less profitable. But you could use reports like this to decide, should we invest more in our internal team because it's more profitable, we're paying out less people, or is it actually better to invest more in a partner network, we're not paying so much in salary, they're just really commission-based, and figure that stuff out. So it gives you some good reportability and some good metrics on which of the models works best for you. Now we also know we have to give report and statements to those external folks as well. So if we go to our report, we have our distributor report here. So this is unique to one distributor. And then within this, I can also, if I'm the finance person or whoever's processing this stuff, we can actually, right in here, we can update those records really quickly and easily, and they could save it. They could then subscribe to this, either just export it, or maybe they want to subscribe to it and have it run weekly, monthly, whatever. It would go to them, it would have the attachment there. It obviously can't go to the external folks because they don't have licenses. The only workaround for something like that would be maybe an auto forwarding rule from your email of if subject line equals X, forward to this person, something like that. Or when it lands in your inbox, you're forwarding it directly to those folks. But it's still saving time. You're not manually writing all these stuff in spreadsheets, saving it, resaving it, and then sending it out. So it's a good workaround for that. All right. All right, so what we just showed, right, is not just a report like the people asking you for this think it is, right? We had to build a custom object. We had to build several flows. We built reports. We built dashboards. We built an app page, okay? And then we had a bunch of hurdles along the way, right? No sharing rules for master detail. Our solution for that was a restriction rule. No my report list view filters. We created a custom field for that, for the running user. You couldn't use the formulas in the roll-ups for the filters on the amount or the status, so we had to create an additional on-edit flow to do that whenever the amount or the stage changed. And then the roll-ups should only be visible to certain users. We've used a permission set as well as dynamically filtered action on the Lightning page. Right, so a lot of hurdles we had to get through to be able to produce a quote-unquote report for somebody at the end of the day. All right, now that we have our POC, we need to review this. Does it meet the business requirements, right? Which were automate creation of commissions, check. Aggregated roll-ups on the opportunity, check. And real-time visibility for sales and finance into what commissions are, check. Right? We got everything done there. What's the impact or risk level? It's brand new, right? So we're not changing anything existing. It's saving a lot of time. This is a pretty good thing to implement here, right? But is it scalable? Maybe, maybe not, right? We had this firing for sales manager, sales rep. We could easily add in account manager, customer success manager, easily. Where we could run into a scalability issue is the restriction rule. You can only have 2 per object, and you should only have 1 per person, or yeah, 1 per person. So if you have a really complex role hierarchy, it may be a complete roadblock. You need to figure that out now because it's back to the drawing board, again, changing from master detail to lookup, using flow to do all the automations. That's a big lift. So you don't want to find that out 6 months from now, and it's a complete rebuild, huge data loads. That's going to be a big lift. And then what's the maintenance and support needed for this? Do you need external consultants when you need to make changes, or is this something we can do in-house? A solution like this, any admin can manage this. But the impact is something you really want to think about, and you want a clear way of knowing what that is. I use an external tool that I pay for, which is actually coincidentally one of the sponsors, called Elements Cloud. If I just look at the commission amount field, I can see in this tool that this is a high impact change. It's used in these flows, pages, reports, and then if I actually open up the tree, I can see downstream where we would potentially have to make changes to this if we want to make updates, right? So you want to understand this now because there's a time and a cost for everything. And depending on how much this could change down the road, you could have a really big lift and a really kind of high maintenance cost going on. So you want to kind of figure all of that stuff out now before you get to that point. All right, a couple of resources. Report Force, that's my blog. Dashboard Dojo, it's run by David Carnes. He's an MVP from Boston, really super intelligent guy, great speaker. I think he does it once a month. It's free, it's online, everything about dashboards. And then if you're more into Tableau, CRM analytics, whatever they're calling it this week, Salesforce Blogger is a great resource as well. But thank you for your time. Anybody have any questions? Actually, hold on one sec. They're going to get a mic for you, so the folks online can hear you.
You talked about sales rep and sales manager having different commissions calculated.
Yep.
What are some of the considerations you need to take into account of showing the dashboard? So if I'm a sales manager, how can I drill down into individual sales rep or slice or dice from that?
Yeah, so based on, they would have visibility downward, so they'd be able to see like their stuff. The folks below them, the reps wouldn't, based on the restriction rule. So they would have drill down capabilities within the reports or dashboards. Anybody else? No? Okay, I'll be up here. If anybody has any, feel free to come on up and chat. But thank you very much for your time.
What we've seen is that there's market overload. People are buying really expensive technology, but they're really not making the most out of it.
We want to show people can strategize now to plan for the future and plan to kickstart those projects.